Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having a good day. You've all seen the title by now. In the last video I claimed that I had 70 unread books, and I kind of underestimated a little bit how many unread books I actually have. I have 103. So, I'm just going to get started because this could be a long one. Fantasy and science fiction. So this is my biggest category of unread books. I have quite a few. Um, Not everything I have on this list is here physically with me at the moment, but I do have access to physical copies. So if I don't have it here with me, I will just put it up in the corner, um, so you can see what it is. There's no order to this. I'm just gonna go through and basically just show you the books I have, and if I have any thoughts on them, I will share. So the first series, and it is a series, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn by Tad Williams. Now, one thing the more observant among you may notice is that this book looks very red. The spine is, let me hold this up better. The spine is creased, and it's actually quite in rough condition. Um, it's because I like to buy used books. I buy a lot of used books. I don't mind having a beat up book. It's the words inside that count, I guess. So that's the reason for that. But this series, I'm excited to read it. I think I haven't read fantasy series in a while. Um, and I think, this is a classic of fantasy, and I hear a lot of great things about Tad Williams. Um, Another thing, I guess you might be wondering why I say it's a trilogy and there's four of them. Well, the last book was so long. I think Tad Williams himself has said this, that he's not good at writing trilogies. The last book seems to grow a lot more. So in this book, this is one book to Green Angel Tower, but he split it up into two, or at least the publishers did because it was so big. I think it's like 500,000 words, but technically it's one book. So that is a monster, but I love big books, so I'm very excited to read that. Like I said, no particular order. Another trilogy I have, something fell. First Law Trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. Let's see, I'm trying to hold this properly, the mic here. The First Law. So I got this box set, very excited about it. I really like Joe Abercrombie as a person. I think I've listened to his interviews and things. He's very likable, interesting guy to listen to. And I can already tell I'm gonna like this just based off listening to him talk. Um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm not gonna talk all this much about every book because otherwise this video is gonna be 6 hours long. Next thing. Now this might be controversial. Um, I I've tried this book a couple times, so some of these books in this video I've tried and haven't finished. Most of them I haven't read at all, but Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So I've read this book, I tried a couple times, and there was nothing I particularly disliked about it, but for some reason, I just put it down, I think 2 times. Uh, I was enjoying it decently enough, but it's just something about it, I don't know. It's something that I know I should like, and I'm gonna try it again because sometimes you're just not in the mood for a certain kind of book, and sometimes life gets in the way of, you know, what you're reading, and then you have to put stuff down and you never get back to it. So I'm gonna try this again, and I'm actually looking forward to that because I think I will like it if I'm in the right mood for it. Sticking with Brandon Sanderson, a series I do love. I read the first two books, which is Stormlight Archive. So I've got Oathbringer here, which I haven't got to yet. I just read Stormlight Archive earlier this year. Actually, I read Way of Kings and Words of Radiance, which were great. Words of Radiance is an amazing book. It's got a really high rating. I think it's the highest Goodreads rating of all time. at least for a fantasy book. It might be for any book. I'm not 100% sure. Um, but either way, it was an amazing book and um, definitely a series worth reading. Now, I gotta reach down to grab all these. I don't even think I can hold these all at once. I don't think I can. Uh, Wheel of Time, the 14 book epic by Robert Jordan. I've read the first 5 books, so I've got up to Fires of Heaven, but that leaves me with Lord of Chaos, Crown of Swords. Now I gotta remember it all. Path of Daggers, Crossroads of Twilight, Gathering Storm, Towers of Midnight, and uh, Memory of Light. And I missed Knife of Dreams as well. Um, Actually, I might have missed that one when counting up the number of books I have. So maybe I have 104. I don't know. We'll see by the end, I guess. Sticking with series, fantasy and science fiction have a lot of series. There's another one that I have here that I've read the first few books in, and I still have to continue. I'm going to be reaching down a lot in this video. Dresden Files. So I've got Summer Night. I don't know which order these go in actually. Doesn't matter. They're here. Summer Night, Death Masks, and Blood Rites. Dresden Files was a fun series when I read it. It was a long time ago, so maybe I'm due to read them again from the beginning. But yeah, I thought it was a fun series. It's a good palate cleanser if you read a lot of books and you need to read something a little more light and fun and shorter. Those are good books to do that with. Next up, I'm just pulling from the top of the pile here I made. It's a bit of YA now. I've got I think these are prequels or sequels, or maybe one of each. I don't know. This is for the Maze Runner series by James Dashner. I read that when I was in high school, and it was really good. I never continued. I think when I read it, not all of the rest of the series came out yet, but that is something I'd like to read. Next, sticking with sci-fi, Project Hail Mary. I've heard good things about this book too, and I know as of right now, there's a movie coming out. I've seen the trailer for it, with Ryan Gosling. I don't know when it's supposed to come out, but I'm hoping to read this before I see that, because I'd rather read this book first before the I see the movie. That's just the way I like to do things. But yeah, I heard great things about it. Another, well, I'm losing books. Another series. What's this series called? Lightbringer. This is the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks. So this is the first book. I only have the first book in the series. Um, yeah, I bought it and never got to it. So that's a common theme with me. I buy way more books than I can have time to read, and this is just one of those unfortunate ones that fell victim to my lack of self-control. Another series I have, more of a children's classic fantasy or young adult, Narnia. Now I've got the whole set here. It's 7 volumes in one. And yeah, I've never read Narnia. Um, but yeah, that's something I'd like to read. Of course, I know C.S. Lewis. Um, and yeah, I'll be getting to that at some point, hopefully. Um, Another sci-fi here, Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This is a classic of the sci-fi genre. I think there's 4 of these books, and this is the first one. It won the Hugo Award, and I'm not sure which year it was, but yeah, classic of the genre. I'm looking forward to reading that. What else here? A big one. There's lots of big books in this channel. I love big books. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Norrell, whatever it is. I'm excited to read it. Susanna Clark, she writes good books, I've heard. I've never read one. Pure and Essie's another one that I don't own, but I'd like to read. And Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, um, definitely one that I'm looking forward to reading as well. Okay, a few more. This one I picked up at the bookstore randomly. I know nothing about it. I never heard of it before I picked it up. I've never read it, and I still don't really know anything about it. The Wolf by Leo Carew. Carew? Yeah, I think so. Um, yeah, I just felt like going to the store and buying a book randomly, like without knowing um what it was about or not even having heard of it before. Um, and this is what I came out with. Next, Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. Now, I know he's been in the news lately for not so good reasons. But I've had this book for a while, and yeah, I mean, it's a short one, very short. I'm looking forward to, um, getting into it, and I actually don't even know what it's about either. But I've read American Gods by him, which I liked decently enough, and so I figured, why not try another one of his works? This next author, he's got a few books that I own. I haven't read any work by him, but I can already tell that he is someone, just like Joe Abercrombie, that I'm gonna like. I've seen his interviews too, and he seems like a really smart guy, someone who puts a lot of thought and research into their writing, which I can appreciate a lot. And yeah, that's basically it. I think I have no doubt that I'm gonna like his work, at least most of it. Um, so I'll just show you. I have three of his books. I'm talking about Neil Stevenson. So I've got three here. I've got Cryptonomicon, which I got this from the secondhand store as well. It looks nice. I have Anathem. Let me hold it like this. Anathem, which is about mathematicians, scientists, and philosophers, which for me, a nerd, that is immediately intriguing. And then lastly, his first novel, Snow Crash. Now, the interesting thing about this book, this is where everyone says you should start with Neil Stevenson, which maybe I will, or maybe I won't. We'll see. Um, he actually coined the term metaverse. He was the first guy who um, came up with that word, and I think it's in this book that he does it, his first ever novel. So, yeah, I'm interested in getting into some of his science fiction because he seems like he has a very interesting mind, and I like reading interesting things. Okay, next, I'm almost done with my science fiction fantasy. I've got this box set of this classic series, this kind of comedic series. It is, well, let me show it this way. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Um, this is, I got this for Christmas actually, and I still have to get to it. I got it for Christmas year and a half ago, year and almost 2 years ago now. Um, and I still have to read it. I hear so many great things about it, and kind of like Dresden Files, I feel like this is a great palate cleanser. I already know it's hilarious. It's gonna be hilarious, and um, yeah, I hear so many good things about it, so I'm looking forward to that a lot. Next, another secondhand book. This is the only book I have by this author, but I also hear amazing things about him. Tigana by Guy Gabriel Kay. Now, Guy Gabriel Kay is a Canadian, just like me, and I hear he's got amazing prose. So I can appreciate an author who puts a lot of thought into their prose, and how they convey a story. And so I'm excited to read this. I've seen a cover of this book before, but not one that looks like this. Again, this is from the secondhand store. So, it's in decent condition as well. It's still got a tag on it. I gotta take off. But yeah, hear great things about K, and looking forward to reading that as well. Now, this is the last thing on my science fiction fantasy list. Um, so I was just in Indigo, the bookstore, and I was just browsing one day, and this guy who's standing next to me said, "Oh, you should buy this series," and it's a series I've never heard of before. And I said, "Okay, well, may as well." I bought the first two books, and like many other books on this list, I haven't got to them yet. This is Imager, an Imager's Challenge by L.E. Modizet Jr. Honestly, I don't know anything about this. I just bought it. I trusted this guy in the store, and I these are backwards. This is the first one, Imager. This one. Um, yeah, I trusted this guy in the store, uh, and I paid money for this, and hopefully that guy's trustworthy because I don't know anything about it, but maybe you guys have and you can tell me about it. Um, but either way, I'm gonna read it, and it's probably good. Like, it's probably good. I'm not too picky with books. I'm sure it's amazing. Now for the fantasy and science fiction books that I don't have with me, um, I have um, the Magician series by Lev Grossman, which I haven't read. Of course, because it's in this video. I don't know much about it. I hear it's like Harry Potter for adults, which I love Harry Potter. That's kind of one of the first things that got me into reading was Harry Potter. So Harry Potter for adults is a immediate hook for me. Something that sounds like what am I even saying? Something that sounds like something I would like. Uh, yeah, words are hard. Um, and what's anything else? I'm trying to think. Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. That's the one. The new Hunger Games book over here. At least it's new at the time of me, newish at the time of me recording this. Um, that's the one the movie was made out of, right? I think so. It was a good movie. I really liked it. Um, yeah, it was good. And Sunrise on the Reaping too. That's the newest one. Uh, I guess my fiance has that book. Some of these books are hers, so I'm trying to recall. I consider her books as my books as well because I have access to them. Um, but yeah, those two Hunger Games books I have not read. Um, so I am looking forward to those as well. I don't know if I'll read them in the near future, but of course I will, whatever you guys want. If you want me to read them, then I can do that. Um, But yeah, those are my fantasy and science fiction books. Just kidding. I have one more book on my shelf that was hiding from me. I knew I would do it. I knew I would forget something. There's a lot of books, and I say 103 in the title. I don't even know if that's right anymore as I'm recording this. So maybe I'm wrong. But I will update that somehow. Anyway, Elantris. It was hiding under another one of my big books. So this is my other Brandon Sanderson book, and this is his first published novel. Um, Yeah, I hear it's good. People say it's not as good as some of his other work, but I will find out for myself. Uh, it seems interesting, and Sanderson, of course, is a giant in the fantasy genre, and he is popular for a reason. He's very good at what he does, so I'm looking forward to reading this. Now that's it for fantasy. Classics. Okay, this is probably my second biggest pile of books. So let's get into classics. Again, no particular order. I just piled them up and I'm gonna just show them as they are. Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. So I read Huckleberry Finn. And after I read it, I realized that Tom Sawyer is actually the first of the two. I don't think it really matters which one you read first, but I just picked up Huckleberry Finn, read that, liked it, and then never got around to Tom Sawyer. So that'll be fun to read, I think. Next, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I never know if it's Louis or Lewis. But yeah, Jekyll and Hyde, obviously famous story. I think if I'm correct, this is a collection of stories, short stories. I believe so. But yeah, Jekyll and Hyde, famous, and looking forward to that. Next one. So this book, I will definitely do a video on this book on the channel at some point. Moby Dick. I hear very interesting, very good. A lot of random whale facts, which whales are cool, I guess. Can't say that I'm super interested in whales, but maybe I will be after reading this. So yeah, looking forward to that at some point. This one, so uh, arguably, according to some, the greatest book ever written, Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I read Crime and Punishment, which was really good. Definitely a top 10 of all time that I've read. And so I hear this one, some people say it's even better. So if that's the case, then this is definitely going to be in my top 10 all time books. Next, this one I just got. And I believe it's a classic. I don't know. Some of these, I don't know if you can qualify them as classics. It'll be like classic and literary fiction or just fiction, I guess. Categories kind of blur together. But anyway, Watership Down by Richard Adams. Now, I hear this is a great book. Um, don't know much about it. I've just heard the name. I know it's about rabbits. I think about a society of rabbits. Um, and yeah, I think I hear great things about it. Some people say it's their favorite book. So that immediately intrigues me. Next, so I've got a couple from this author. Actually, I've got a few. I've got one that's not here, but I have it somewhere else. Uh, Ernest Hemingway. So I've got The Old Man in the Sea with this actually pretty terrible cover. It's not the greatest, not the most um descriptive cover, I would say, doesn't jump out at you. But of course that won him the Nobel Prize. And then I also have For Whom the Bell Tolls, which is one of his longer books, I think. And looking forward to that. I read A Farewell to Arms, and that's the only one I've read by him, and it was good. And I also have, let's see, I'll get into the ones I don't have later, that I don't have physically with me right now. I'll get into those after I go through, but I have another book by him. Next, this one's a big one, The Count of Monte Cristo, and unfortunately I've kind of done some damage to it, even though I haven't read it. But yeah, big. It's over 1,000 pages. Um, but like I've said a few times, that's the kind of thing I love. Let's see, 1,243 pages. So that'll be a good chunk of reading there. Okay, this next book is another classic, of course, Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. Of course, this book has had a lot of adaptations in media, a lot of like musicals and movies. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to reading more about Oliver Twist. Keeping on with Dickens, I've got Tale of Two Cities. This is another one of those books that I've tried and have failed to get through. Um, it's a difficult one. It's I read tried in high school, and then I tried it again in my first year of university. Um, and it's a tough read. I'm gonna do it again because it's an absolute classic and one that one of the greatest opening lines in all of literature, I think. And I love this cover too, like uh the drawing of the obviously the French Revolution fighting. So yeah, it's a very intriguing book, and I hope to tackle it and conquer it on this channel at some point. Next, Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. I've got a couple Jules Verne books. This is a shorter one. Of course, this was made into a movie as well, with Brendan Fraser, classic movie of my childhood. Next, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I've got the Penguin edition here. Don't know much about this book actually. Ken Kesey, I think is how you say that. Um, don't know much about it. I hear it's good. From people I know say it's really good. So I'm looking forward to that. Next, back to Dickens, David Copperfield. So this book is pretty thick. Um, again, don't know much about this book, but it's big, and I like it big, like I keep saying. And Dickens, I have read Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, and that was a good book. So I do like Charles Dickens. I just have to get around to reading more of his stuff. Back to Jules Verne again. Uh, this is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, one of my other porthole cover novels because Moby Dick had a porthole as well. Um, yeah, again, I'm a broken record. I don't know too much about this book. They're hunting. Uh, yeah, there's a submarine. They go on quests, encounter giant squids, lost cities, and other nautical wonders. Sounds intriguing to me. Something that I would probably love. Next, my only book by this author, The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. This book I hear is very difficult. I've been wanting to dig into American literature, hence the Hemingway. Um, I've read quite a few or a few John Steinbeck novels. Uh, and then William Faulkner is the other kind of giant of American literature that I think about, which I haven't read anything by him. So Sound and the Fury. I hear it's tough, but that's okay. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's about. Next, some H.G. Wells. I've got The Invisible Man. Yeah, I don't know much about it. I think a guy goes invisible. Yeah, he does experiments, conducts experiments to make himself invisible. Uh, which is cool, I guess. Another one. Now I have this cover. I bought it secondhand. It's a movie cover. I don't like the movie cover books, but I saw it at the bookstore and I had to pick it up. So it's The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Now, this book, I read part of it too, but I didn't finish it. I read it because I read it in high school. Um, like a lot of books I didn't finish, I guess. I don't remember a thing about it. I read probably a quarter of it. Um, the thing with Cormac McCarthy, I haven't read any of his books either, except for the quarter of this one. In this book, there's zero punctuation. Like he doesn't use, well, sorry, there's some punctuation, but he doesn't use quotation marks for speakers. It's just indentation. And then he has periods and question marks and things, but no quotation marks for speakers, which I find is interesting. Something you probably have to get used to while reading. But yeah, another legendary American author, which I'm looking to get into. Now my last classic is let me grab it. Dracula by Bram Stoker. Of course, we all know Dracula, the stories of Dracula. But I've never read the book, and I don't actually know much about the story of Dracula. I think it's told through a lot of it's told through letters, I think, a series of letters. At least I think so. Or diary entries. But yeah, we all know the character of Dracula and the legend of Dracula. And yeah, I'm excited to get into it. But those are all my classics. Those are all the classics I own. Of course, everything in this list is gonna grow inevitably, inevitably. Uh, because I love buying books too. So, I have a feeling my collection of unread books is never gonna end. Okay, now time for the classics that I don't have with me in person. So they'll be over here. I'll show the covers or pictures of something. The first one is Pride and Prejudice. Um, of course, by Jane Austen. I actually don't have all the authors written. I have a spreadsheet in front of me because I'm not going to remember everything off by heart. I know that one's by Jane Austen, but I might forget some of the authors here. Um, so Pride and Prejudice is one of them. Gone with the Wind, another one. I believe by Margaret Mitchell. The picture should confirm. Um, yeah, another American classic. The Iliad by Homer, of course. Classic Tales of Horror. I think that's by Edgar Allan Poe. Um, yeah, I should have put the name of the authors here, but yeah, Classic Tales of Horror. Another one. Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft, which I've never read anything by H.P. Lovecraft. Um, Picture of Dorian Gray is the next one. That one I hear great things about. Um, and that's by Oscar Wilde, I'm pretty sure, if I can recall. Yeah, a lot of people tell me that's their favorite book as well. So that one is interesting to me. Then To Kill a Mockingbird is another one. Jane Eyre, another one. I'm kind of speed running through these here because really, like, I don't know too much about them. So yeah, just speeding through. Animal Farm by George Orwell, of course. Classic story, a little short story, um, which you could probably read. Well, I know you could read it in a day. So, yeah, classic one. A lot of times they make us read that one in high school, in class, and they study it in school, but I never did, so I've never actually read it. And people are surprised when they hear I haven't read Animal Farm. Um, The Odyssey, of course, by Homer as well. Christopher Nolan has a movie coming out on it, so I'm excited for that. And I would, just like with Project Hail Mary, I would like to read it before the movie comes out so that I can, first of all, not spoil the book, but also I can compare how well the movie adapted the material. So I'm looking forward to reading that within the next year. Catch 22, another one I don't know anything about. I know Catch 22 is a saying, but I don't know anything about the book. That's by Joseph Heller, I think. Um, and then Lord of the Flies is another one by William Golding that I haven't read. That's another one people study in school that I never did. And finally, the last classic I have is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Polo? I don't know. Um, I don't know how to say his name. But it's a short little book too, and I hear a lot of people talk about it. Um, and yeah, those are my classics. Now, of course, my list is going to grow as I love buying books. So, um, as I'm talking about these books now, my list of unread books is just gonna get bigger and bigger, I think. Um, yeah, I need self-control is what I'm saying. I need to stop buying so many books. But those are my classics. Let's go on to the rest of my fiction. Okay, this is the rest of my fiction. So this is um, things that I couldn't fit into other categories that I could think of, or I was too lazy to further divide into categories. Um, Plus Stephen King as well. So the first book, uh, Gray Mountain by John Grisham. I've never read a John Grisham book. I know he's a lawyer. He writes law fiction. And I haven't read anything, but he's popular and he sells a lot of books. And so I hear he's good. I've seen a couple interviews of him as well. If you can't tell, I like watching author interviews. They seem to be very interesting people. So, and John Grisham seems like a very interesting guy. So I'm sure his books are amazing. Next, now this is a series, or this is not a series, but I guess one of them is, but this is a collection of three novels in one. This is Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove, Leaving Cheyenne, and The Last Picture Show. So I've read Lonesome Dove actually, and it's on my favorite top 10 list of all time. It's just an incredible book. Um, and I'm going to do a top 10 list at some point, but it's definitely on there. And I won't say where it is until I make that video, but I haven't read anything else by him. So I have Leaving Cheyenne and The Last Picture Show, which I don't know what they're about. So Lonesome Dove, I believe, is a tetralogy. So I'll definitely be reading the other books in that series at some point. But Leaving Cheyenne and The Last Picture Show are not part of that, I don't believe. Um, they're their own thing. So yeah, I'm going to be reading that at some point. If they're anything like Lonesome Dove, they're going to be incredible. Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth. Now I got this one secondhand too. It's a really nice copy. It says 14.99 on there, which is not the price I paid. I don't know why that's there, but yeah, this is about it's a big book. I think it's about 900 pages about a guy who built a church, which you wouldn't think that would be the most riveting plot, but apparently it's great. So I'm trusting the masses here, um, who say it's amazing, and I'm excited for it. It's kind of a historical fiction. I think it takes place in the 14th or 15th century. I don't remember exactly, but it takes place in Old England. So that's interesting. Put that on the floor. Okay, now the book I was going to get to earlier, The Stand by Stephen King. So I'm getting into my Stephen King collection now. Uh, I just got this not too long ago. It's from the secondhand store. It's the only cheap copy of The Stand I could find. Um, and it's seen better days for sure. Um, but all the pages inside are intact, and so um, I'm happy about that. I'm looking forward to reading that. A lot of people that I watch and respect, I trust their book opinions. They say it's their favorite book of all time. Uh, and I'm reading a Stephen King book now, which I'll review when I'm done. And yeah, he doesn't disappoint. He definitely, that guy knows how to write. So I'm looking forward to that. Next one. All my Stephen King books are they're all secondhand. Duma Key. I've never heard of this book before, maybe like a month ago. I picked it up at Value Village, and then I read about it after that. It's a great book. So I picked it up just because I know who Stephen King is, and then from there I saw people talking about it, and apparently it's great, which I'm happy with. Um, Next book by Stephen King is The Tommyknockers. Now I also knew nothing about this, and apparently this book's pretty crazy. I don't know what that means. People say it's kind of bonkers. I think Stephen King wrote this when he was still in his, struggling with his addiction, and I think he wrote it when he was in the midst of that, the worst of it, maybe. I don't know the story too much, so don't trust my word on it. But that's just what I've heard. Um, but yeah, I heard it's crazy. I think it's about aliens, which is cool. Um, but I'm looking forward to reading it. I hear that it's crazy, like I keep saying, but I'll be reading that at some point. And then my last one, you can probably see it already, 11/22/63, which is, of course, the day JFK was assassinated. And this is a historical fiction, like a time travel book, which I hear is great as well. I love this cover. Um, it's just a newspaper, but then when you flip, let's see if I can do this easily. When you flip, inside it shows a um like a newspaper of JFK. What does it say exactly? It says he escapes assassination. First lady is also okay. So it's like an alternate history of the JFK assassination. And I think like it's about going back and saving JFK or something. At least that's a part of it. And I think Lee Harvey Oswald is a character as well, which is interesting. So I'm excited to see what Stephen King does with that book and how he deals with the history of that, um, and kind of what sort of things he changes. So those are my kind of general fiction books that I have, the ones that I didn't feel like categorizing too much. Now let's get into my nonfiction. Okay, this is the last thing, the nonfiction. I don't have too many nonfiction books. I'd like to get into it more because I do enjoy it. Um, and I'm lumping kind of my nonfiction together. So, history, philosophy is all I'm considering is one genre here. Um, First one, the short history of Canada. Now I'm Canadian, so I don't know if this will be interesting to people. Really, it'll be interesting to me, I guess, to know the history of my own country, at least in more detail than I already do. So I'm looking forward to get into that. The Blood of Free Men. This is the liberation of Paris, 1944. Um, it's about World War II. Um, the liberation of Paris, back from the Nazis, in 1944. So I don't know too much about that event. But I'm interested in war history, and so this I think will be an interesting read for sure. So this next book is a biography, um, and it's of Nikola Tesla, the inventor of the electrical age. So of course, Nikola Tesla, famous scientist. Um, yeah, I like reading about people. I like reading about great people in history, at least people who have, made a big impact on the world. And he's certainly one of them as the father of modern electricity. So I'm excited to read more about his life because I don't know much about the guy himself. Similarly, Albert Einstein. So this is Walter Isaacson is a great biographer. Um, and I've been wanting to read a few of his. So I have the Einstein one, which I have a degree in physics, so I know a lot about physics and science. So Albert Einstein is obviously one of the greatest physicists to ever live, if not the greatest. Um, and he was an interesting guy, so I'd love to read Walter Isaacson's take on his life. Next, let's see. I'm running out of places to put my books. My room, you should see it. It's full of books everywhere. Oop. Okay. The Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. So this is volume three. I've actually read the first two, um, and they were great. And then I got busy with other stuff and never got around to the third one. So when I do get to this, I'm gonna read the first two again, and I'll probably talk about it on the channel. We'll see. We'll see if I will or not. But yeah, of course, he was a guy who has a first-hand account of the gulags in Soviet Russia. Very interesting, very interesting. And I encourage everyone to read that because it's amazing to read and also horrifying to read. So next, I've got some of my more philosophical books. I've got some of the works of Plato. This is the Republic, plus some of his Socratic dialogues like the Apology and Symposium, which is I don't think is actually a Socratic dialogue. Maybe it is. I don't remember. Um, then the other ones, I don't remember their names. But I've read those ones. I just haven't read the Republic yet. So I'll get to the Republic, which is great, of course, classic work of Greek philosophy. Then I have three books here by C.S. Lewis, which are more of his theological stuff. We've got Miracles, which is about miracles in the Bible. Um, then we have The Four Loves, which is about the four kinds of loves talked about in the Bible, which I'm not recalling exactly what they all are. Um, but that's interesting. And then The Abolition of Man, which I actually don't know what this is about, but um, C.S. Lewis, very interesting guy. Um, and yeah, uh, have more to read from him. I have a box set of books that I have to get to still, but uh, yeah, those are my kind of philosophical books I have with me right now. I do have more. Let's see, I got books stacked everywhere. They're blocking my view of my spreadsheet. I have Beyond Good and Evil by um, Friedrich Nietzsche, which is a book that I'm very interested in reading too. I've never read anything by Nietzsche. Um, but of course, Nietzsche is one of the most famous philosophers and someone worth, for sure, worth reading. So yeah, those are my nonfiction books. Like I said, I'd like more of them. I would like to learn more about history and philosophy and science, and there's always more to learn. So if anyone has any recommendations, uh, I'm always open to hearing them. And that's it. Those are all my unread books. This video was kind of all over the place. Maybe by the time you see this, it'll be put together all nicely, but definitely I was here forgetting a bunch of books as I was recording. Then I have to go back and say, "Oh yeah, I need to add this book and I forgot this book." So at this point, I don't even know if my number of books is 103. So I don't know. I have a lot of unread books is the point of this video, and I have showed them to you. If I forgot some, well, uh they will I'm sure they'll appear at some point. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm always looking for new books. Of course, maybe I shouldn't, because I have so many I still need to read. Um, but hold on here. Okay, yeah, if there's any you want me to read specifically, or if you have any recommendations for books, um, let me know, because I'm always looking to read new things, and let me know what you think of my list as well. If you have any favorites from here, if you have any thoughts on the books that I'm reading, um, or that I have, I mean, that I will read at some point. I'd love to hear it. So yeah, that's my list. And thanks for everyone who watched my first video and who subscribed and commented. That was very nice of you all. And yeah, I hope to see you around. And yeah, I appreciate all of you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.